Yo, what's up guys? Nakama here from Mongolia. And today I'm going to be talking about the central planning of our buildings and infrastructure. And Mongolia used to be under the, uh, a part of the, I guess, the USSR back in before 1990. And after 1990, our country turned into capitalism and also became a lot more democratic. So, well, the democratic change our country was definitely a great thing. Before that, we were kind of a bit of USSR puppet. There were a lot of USSR soldiers in Mongolia. But during the 1990 revolution, we kicked out all the Russian soldiers and became independent. And we became a capitalist country with a democratic system. And our democracy is flawed. There are a lot of issues that concerns Mongolia, like corruption. And currently our democracy index is probably lower than America's. In all honesty, yeah, it's not the greatest. We use a majoritarian system to elect a majority of our government, and despite the fact that a lot of scientists and political scientists will agree that proportional system is pretty good, and we are like the biggest party in Mongolia. Mongolian has a social democratic view. Hypothetically, should be similar to the Scandinavian countries like Norway, Denmark, and Finland, but we're not on their level. There's a lot of issues with our elections, and our there's definitely some corruptions going on. A bit of an oligarchy rule as well. That's a bit of an issue. But disregarding that, there's also one big issue in that we believe in capitalism and we believe in the free market and the competition of the free market. And I think that has a lot of flaws because look at this centrally planned system and infrastructure and buildings that were built during the Soviet era, where we where the government centrally planned everything and built these buildings. And as you can see, one of the things I really like about these old Soviet buildings, Soviet-style buildings, is that there's all these apartments that people live, but there's also like a playground here, and that's really great. And if you look at the modern types of buildings, it's all very private, and private companies don't have a lot of democracy in them. And the biggest issue is that since all these private companies are divided, and not working together and centrally planning things, there's a lot of issue with how they build things, and because they didn't fully plan all of this and all work together to figure out how to build what and where, there's a lot of issues. So this is the kindergarten I grew up in. I used to go to this place and play with a lot of kids of my age, and as you can see, there's a lot of apartments where people actually live, and planning it this way where the kindergarten is really close to the apartments that people live is very, very advantageous. I think like planning like this really needs to happen more in the future. I think Mongolia has a lot of big land, and we can definitely use that to our advantage and build centrally planned cities and infrastructure like this, similar to how we used to do it back then. And I'm all for democracy. I'm a super democratic person, In fact, I will even go as far as to say that I am a kind of a founder of a very a super democratic concept. I've been talking about this a lot in my Discord server as well as YouTube. I've been farming YouTube, trying to farm YouTube and trying to tell you why democracy is a great thing and why we should do it every day instead of once every 4 years. And one great thing about this old super centrally planned economy is that, for example, here's the kindergarten and here's the school. So when your kid graduates from kindergarten, they'll go to the same similar school that is right next to said kindergarten. So you don't need to move or do something, or your kid doesn't have to go on a bus to every single day of their life. They just go to the kindergarten next to their apartment and then the school next to their apartment. So that's also pretty great. So there's the football field. It's pretty built. I mean, it used to be pretty barren, but thanks to recent development, we fixed it. We made it great, and it's also like really close to the school, right? So sometimes there are competitions. Back when I used to study in a private school, also very close to this football field, we used to play in tournaments in this football field. It was great. And this school, this is also where elections happened in my district. Things have gone pretty old because of lack of renovation, but as you can see, I really like this type of centrally planned system where they planned everything. They planned the kindergarten. This is also another kindergarten next to that kindergarten. And while I didn't grew up in this kindergarten, it's also really great that it's there, so that we have a lot more space for children. And it's also, again, very close to the football field, very close to the school. And yeah, I just really like also how there's spaces to walk, because when you're just giving all of the permissions to the private sector and allowing the private sectors to just go crazy without any central planning, because my competition, my free market, things don't pan out really well, because sometimes people just build buildings and apartments too close to one another. So there's also a lot of parking lots, so there's barely any place to walk, because they didn't plan this thing out, and all these companies are separate from one another, and they're hiding information from one another. They're not working together, so that also kind of leads to bad decision making and competition, where they try to win against one another and fight one another without actually working together. And yeah, that's also one of the issues with a hyper competitive market. Because I also was wondering, well, why do mergers happen? Because yes, there are sometimes mergers happen because one side is super rich and they can buy it up, but there are other times I think it happens very consensually. Like the place I work is a company, but it's a combined company of three different companies work together to combine this union of sorts, and I work there as a loan manager. It's pretty great, honestly. I think it's way better than working in a small company. I get to meet a lot of people and things are super organized. And one thing about my job is that people always say, oh, competition this and that, but I work as a loan manager, and we have a system where the Mongolian central bank gives us information regarding a person's loans, all of their loans. And that wouldn't be possible if we were truly sanctifying and thinking that competition is this holy grail. Because if you really think about it, if we were truly competing, if all the banks and private banks were truly competing against one another, treating one another like enemies, then creating a data of someone's entire loan history will be really difficult. Because certain banks will just hide what they know about certain individuals, and it will be kind of impossible to know if a person is safe to give a loan to or not, because well, we will not have all the information, but currently we do, and it's thanks to, again, central planning. Even if they're competitive, we are competitive, so we are technically competing with one another. We are sharing our information with one another and working together. You know, the central bank is providing us with all this information, and that's just really great, because my job would not be possible if we were fighting against one another for the sake of competition. And I also want to emphasize that we truly need more apartments like how we used to do it back then during the Soviet era. Because I mean, holy shit! Look at this! Look at all these buildings and and all this infrastructure that was not planned, and also or just all private, and well, the government isn't just building a lot of things that they probably should with a lot more plannings. And while the private sectors are nice, private companies don't have elections inside them. I'll also show our newer buildings and apartments that are recently built that have some issues but are still pretty alright. I actually never really entered them, so they might have some interesting things to show. So this is the Harhoring supermarket, and next to it is Sunday, which was pretty recently built. And Harhoring wasn't used to be this big. There were a lot of markets, small markets, but recently they built this large large building, which is really cool. Like behind this large building, you can kind of see that there is another building, and there people sell fruits and vegetables, meat, and in this large department store, there's a lot of clothes and other products. And one thing I also want to make clear is that it's also planned really well. Like it's also really planned well because it's also very close to the apartments. So the kindergarten is pretty close. The hospitals are very close. Schools are very close to these apartments, and also the supermarket. So everything you could possibly need, including police station, is here in one place. And it's not super crowded. And if I go to the certain other parts of the city, and I can show you how it's a little bit too crowded on certain areas and harder to walk on certain areas, but not here. I think this place was honestly perfectly planned. Like, yeah, it's really hard to put a hold on, criticize this decision and this planning in any way, because it's really well made. There's also like a small pharmaceutical shops down the road. It's pretty great. And let's visit these new buildings. These buildings definitely have the advantage that they're very close to everything I mentioned, because well, they're pretty closely built to everything that I talked about. But other than that, I also think this buildings feel a little bit too cramped. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I'm walking inside the bridge that you saw in the previous video, and this bridge is pretty nice. It's a super safe way to go across the road. Yeah, it's a super convenient way to cross the road safely. And there's also so many small shops, a lot of a lot of clothing related businesses running here. And we're out. Yeah, here's Ulaanbaatar, Singin. There's the Harhar market, lots of cars. It's great. It's a really great place to live. So this is the recent buildings that were built. I was showing I showed you guys from how it looked from afar. Now we're really close, and oh man, like I think it just kind of sucks if you really live here because you, for example, if your window is facing right here, then you probably don't even see any sunlight. Like this building just blocks everything, and also the same goes for true for this building because the sunlight gets blocked. And if you live, for example, here and your window is there, you probably don't even see a lot of sunlight too. I mean, it's just kind of, it's so cramped. It's so cramped, and I honestly don't know how are you supposed to see the sunlight. And also, well, there's barely any playgrounds, which is problematic because I think kids probably will have to cross the road and go play out at the playground there, right outside of this whole cramped apartment structure. I mean, here there's a small playground here. Probably not big, but there is a playground here, so that's good. Yeah, I think this section of the apartments is definitely less cramped. It definitely is more preferable this way. So there's definitely a playground in here, and they definitely thought of a few things and planned a few things. Maybe the government was also responsible. I'm not really sure.